When I was growing up in a quiet little town in Ohio, I always felt like my world was just a little bit smaller than everyone else's. My family wasn't wealthy, my parents worked long hours, and most of the time, my older brother Ryan was too busy with his sports teams and his group of friends to really notice me. But despite all of that, I never felt lonely, not as long as I had Emily. Emily had been my best friend since second grade. I still remember the day we met. I was sitting alone at recess, tracing shapes in the dirt with a stick, when she marched up to me like she had known me forever. Her blonde hair was tied up in messy pigtails, and her shoelaces were untied, but she didn't care. She just plopped down next to me and said, "Want to play?" That was it. That was the start of a friendship that felt unbreakable. Through middle school and then into high school, Emily was always by my side. She knew everything about me, my insecurities, my crushes, the things I was too scared to admit even to myself. Whenever my parents fought in the kitchen late at night, I'd text her, and she'd call me until I fell asleep. Whenever Ryan teased me about being the quiet one or said I'd never be as outgoing as him, Emily was the one who reminded me that being different didn't mean being less. She made me believe I mattered. That's why I told her things I didn't tell anyone else. Like how I hated the way my mom always compared me to Ryan. Like how I wished I could disappear sometimes when it felt like nobody noticed me. Like how I worried I'd never be good enough for anyone. And Emily always said the right things back. She'd hug me, promise she'd always be there, and then distract me with a late night ice cream run or a movie marathon in her basement. I never once questioned her loyalty. To me, she wasn't just a friend, she was family. But if I had known what was coming, maybe I would have looked closer. Maybe I would have noticed the small cracks forming in our friendship long before they split open wide enough to destroy everything I thought I knew. It started small, like most things do. A strange look here, a comment there. I noticed it first at the beginning of junior year, when Emily started asking about Ryan more than usual. She'd never been interested in my brother before. She even used to make fun of him with me when he acted like the golden boy at school. But suddenly, she was asking what his favorite bands were, if he had a girlfriend, if he liked certain kinds of girls. At first, I didn't think much of it. I mean, Ryan was popular. He was the kind of guy people noticed whether they wanted to or not. But the way she asked felt different, curious, intentional. Then came the jokes. "Imagine if I dated your brother." She laughed one night while we were scrolling through Instagram on my bed. "We'd be sisters-in-law." She said it lightly, but there was something behind her eyes I didn't quite recognize. I laughed it off, telling her Ryan would never go for one of my friends. But in that moment, I didn't realize just how wrong I was. By winter, everything changed. I'll never forget the night I walked downstairs to grab a snack and saw Emily sitting on the couch in my living room, not with me, but with Ryan. They were shoulder to shoulder, their heads bent close together, whispering and laughing about something I wasn't included in. My heart dropped into my stomach. "Hey," I said, forcing a smile. "What's going on?" Emily looked up at me with this guilty half smile. "Oh, nothing. Just hanging out with Ryan while I waited for you." But it wasn't nothing. I could feel it in my bones. The way Ryan smiled at her wasn't just polite, it was interested. The way she looked at him wasn't just casual, it was intentional. That night, when Emily finally came up to my room, I asked her directly, "Are you into my brother?" She hesitated, her cheeks turning pink. "I mean, he's cute, right? Don't you think?" I laughed nervously, brushing it off. "Yeah, but he's my brother." "Ew." She shrugged and changed the subject, but something inside me shifted. For the first time in years, I didn't feel like I could tell her how I really felt. And what I felt was scared. Because Emily wasn't just my best friend. She was my only friend. The idea of losing her, of her choosing Ryan over me, felt unbearable. Over the next few months, I watched as my worst fears slowly turned into reality. Emily found excuses to come over even when I wasn't around. She started sitting with Ryan at lunch when I was running late. She laughed at all his dumb jokes, the same one she used to roll her eyes at when it was just the two of us. And then, one night, she admitted it. We were sitting in her car outside my house after a basketball game. The windows were fogged up from the cold, and I was still wearing Ryan's team sweatshirt because it was freezing in the gym. Emily drummed her fingers on the steering wheel, glancing at me like she was holding something back. Finally, she said it. I think I really like your brother. The words sliced through me like a knife. I forced a laugh. You're kidding, right? But she shook her head. No, I'm serious. I think he likes me too. I stared at her, trying to process. The girl who had once sworn she'd never date one of my family members was now confessing feelings for the one person who'd always made me feel like second best. And the worst part? The way she said it, so confidently, so unapologetically, made me feel like she didn't care how it affected me at all. That night, when I finally went inside and closed my bedroom door, I felt something I had never felt with Emily before: distance. It was like a wall had gone up between us, one I hadn't built but couldn't take down either. I didn't know then just how high that wall would grow, or how the truth hiding behind it would tear my entire family apart. After Emily admitted that she liked my brother, I tried to convince myself it was just a passing crush, something that would fade in a week or two. That's what crushes do, right? They flare up, burn hot, and then burn out. I told myself it would be fine. She'd realize that Ryan wasn't her type, that dating your best friend's brother was messy, and things would go back to normal. But things didn't go back to normal. They got worse. The next week, Emily was suddenly around more than ever. She started timing her visits so that she showed up just as Ryan was home from practice. She asked me about his schedule, his classes, and even what kind of snacks he liked so she could bring something over. Every time she smiled when he walked into the room, I felt this knot tightening in my chest. I wanted to tell her to stop. I wanted to tell her how uncomfortable it made me. But every time I opened my mouth, the words got stuck in my throat. What if she thought I was being selfish? What if she got mad and left me? I couldn't risk losing her. Then came the night that changed everything. It was a Friday evening in January. Ryan had just gotten his driver's license, and my parents were letting him take the car out for the first time. He asked if Emily wanted to come with us to get pizza, and before I could even answer, she was already nodding. We ended up at this little place downtown, the kind with red vinyl booths and old photos of baseball teams on the wall. Ryan slid into the booth next to Emily, and I sat across from them, trying not to notice the way their shoulders brushed together. They laughed about things I didn't understand, inside jokes that seemed to appear out of nowhere. When the waiter came to take our order, Ryan asked Emily what she wanted before he even looked at me. And when the pizza finally came, they shared a slice, biting from opposite ends like some cliché rom-com moment. I sat there, picking at my food, feeling invisible. Like I wasn't part of the night at all. Like I was the third wheel in my own friendship. That's when it really hit me. I was losing her. That night, when Emily dropped me off at home, she didn't come inside like she usually did. She just waved goodbye from the car and drove off, probably to meet Ryan again. I stood on the porch, watching her taillights disappear, and for the first time, I wondered if she still saw me as her best friend, or if I was just a stepping stone to get closer to my brother. Over the next few weeks, the shift became undeniable. Emily stopped answering my texts right away. When she did respond, it was short, distracted, like she was only half paying attention. She missed our Friday movie nights because she was busy. But I knew what busy meant. She was with Ryan. One night, I finally worked up the courage to ask Ryan about it. Are you and Emily, like, a thing now? I asked, my voice trembling more than I wanted it to. He shrugged, grinning. I don't know. Maybe. She's cool. Why? Because she's my best friend, I snapped. So? That doesn't mean she's off limits, he said casually, as if the words didn't cut right through me. I wanted to scream at him, to tell him he was ruining everything, but I couldn't. Because Ryan didn't see what I saw. He didn't see that Emily wasn't just dating him, she was replacing me. By spring, Emily and Ryan were officially together. She told me one afternoon in the most casual way, like it was no big deal. So, Ryan asked me out. I said yes. Hope that's okay. Hope that's okay. Those words rang in my ears for days. How could it be okay? How could it ever be okay that the girl who promised me she'd always be on my side had now chosen the one person who made me feel small my entire life? Still, I smiled. I nodded. I said, of course it's okay. Because what else could I say? If I told her how I really felt, I risked pushing her away completely. And losing Emily felt worse than swallowing my pride. But deep down, I started to feel something I'd never felt toward her before. Doubt. Because little by little, I began to notice things that didn't add up. Like how she started telling Ryan things I had told her in confidence. I'd overhear him teasing me about secrets I knew only Emily had known. Like how she dropped little comments to my mom, planting ideas that made me look bad. Once, she mentioned how I skipped studying to scroll on my phone all night, even though I had never told anyone that. Suddenly, my mom was on my case even more than usual. Or the time she told Ryan I was jealous of their relationship, like it was some kind of game to make me look petty. And the worst part? Ryan believed her. My parents believed her. Everyone believed her. One night, I overheard them talking in the kitchen. My mom was saying, "It's so nice that Ryan's dating Emily. She's such a sweet girl. Such a good influence." I wanted to scream. A good influence? She was tearing me apart from the inside, and no one could see it but me. That was when the cracks turned into something darker. Because the more I thought about it, the more I realized Emily wasn't just dating Ryan for love. She was using him for attention, for approval, maybe even for revenge. And slowly, it began to feel like she wasn't just drifting away from me. She was actively trying to destroy the one thing I had left, my family. I didn't want to believe it. I didn't want to think the girl I had loved like a sister could be capable of that kind of betrayal. But deep down, I knew. I knew something was coming. Something big. Something that would shatter everything. And I was right. Because what happened next didn't just break my trust in Emily. It broke my family apart in ways we could never piece back together. By the time summer rolled around, Emily was practically a permanent fixture in our house. If she wasn't in the living room with Ryan, she was in the kitchen helping my mom cook, or sitting with my dad in the backyard while he grilled, laughing at his cheesy dad jokes. Everyone loved her. Everyone. Except me. I hated myself for thinking it, but every time I walked into a room and saw her there, my stomach twisted. This was supposed to be my safe space, my home, my family, and now Emily was everywhere, filling every corner, shining brighter than me. I couldn't escape it. One evening, I walked downstairs after finishing my summer reading assignment and found Emily sitting at the dining table with my mom. They were going through photo albums, our family photo albums. Emily was asking questions about baby pictures of me and Ryan, laughing about stories she had no right to hear. "Oh, you were such a shy little girl," my mom said, smiling at me across the table. "But Emily says you're really outgoing with her. Isn't that right?" Emily nodded sweetly. "Yeah, she's different around me. She just doesn't show it here." I froze. Those words didn't feel innocent. They felt like a jab, a quiet way of telling my mom that I was two-faced, that I was hiding who I really was. My mom frowned like she was reevaluating me in that moment. I wanted to scream, "That's not true. She's twisting it." But instead, I just excused myself and went back upstairs, slamming the door so hard the walls shook. Later that night, when I confronted Emily about it, she acted confused. "What?" "I was just trying to help. Your mom thinks you're too quiet, and I wanted her to know you're not like that all the time." "Why are you so sensitive?" Sensitive. That word sat heavy on my chest. She'd never called me that before. And it wasn't the last time. Over the next few weeks, Emily started pointing out little flaws of mine in front of my family. She told my dad I was lazy because I didn't mow the lawn when he asked. She told Ryan I was clingy, because I wanted to hang out with her like we used to. She told my mom I was irresponsible for forgetting to do the dishes one night. Each time, she said it with a laugh, like it was just a joke. But the looks my family gave me afterwards said otherwise. It was like she was slowly rewriting the version of me they had in their heads. And the worst part? It was working. Ryan started snapping at me more often. My mom scolded me for things she would have overlooked before. My dad shook his head like he was disappointed in me, though he never said why. One night, I overheard Ryan telling Emily in the kitchen, "She's always been like this. Mom and Dad just don't see it. Thanks for pointing it out." I pressed my hand against my bedroom door, my chest heaving. Emily wasn't just dating my brother. She was turning him, and my entire family, against me. But why? Why would someone I trusted with my whole heart do this to me? I tried to bring it up to Ryan once. I cornered him in the garage after he came home from practice. "Ryan, don't you think it's weird how much time Emily spends here? Don't you think she's, I don't know, overstepping?" He rolled his eyes. "You're just jealous." "I'm not jealous," I shouted, my voice cracking. "She's supposed to be my best friend, but she acts like she doesn't even care about me anymore. Doesn't that bother you?" Ryan slammed the car door shut and looked at me with a glare I'll never forget. "Maybe she just realized you're not as great as you think you are." The words knocked the breath out of me. My own brother. The one who was supposed to tease me in a brotherly way, not cut me down with a knife in his voice. I stumbled back into the house, blinking back tears. Emily had gotten to him. She had taken everything I told her, every insecurity, every fear, and handed them to Ryan to use against me. That night, I cried myself to sleep, my pillow soaked and my chest aching like it might split open. But the worst was still ahead. Because a few weeks later, everything exploded. It started with something small, a lie. One afternoon, my mom confronted me about missing money from her purse. $40. Gone. I swore I hadn't touched it. I didn't even know she had cash in there. But my mom didn't believe me. "You've been careless lately," she said, crossing her arms. "Emily mentioned you've been wanting new shoes. Did you take it?" I felt like the floor dropped out from under me. "Emily said what?" My mom's eyes narrowed. "Don't lie to me." "I'm not lying," I cried. "I didn't take it." But she didn't believe me. And when I looked at Ryan, hoping for backup, he just shook his head. "Come on, just admit it. Emily said she saw you looking in Mom's purse last week." I couldn't breathe. That never happened. She was lying. But in that moment, everyone believed her over me. I ran to my room, slamming the door, my hands shaking with rage. My so-called best friend had just accused me of stealing from my own mom, and my family believed her. That was when I realized the truth. Emily wasn't just after Ryan. She wasn't just trying to take my place in his life. She was trying to erase me completely. To make me look like the problem. To make me disposable. And slowly, it was working. That night, I stared at the ceiling in the dark, the pieces clicking together in my head. Every little comment, every joke, every story she twisted, it all made sense now. Emily wasn't my best friend anymore. She was my enemy. And if I didn't figure out why she was doing this, and fast, I was going to lose everything. After the money incident, things in my house shifted permanently. My parents didn't say it out loud, but I could feel it in the way they looked at me, like I was a disappointment, like I was a liar. Ryan barely spoke to me unless it was to snap or criticize. And Emily? She was suddenly closer to my family than I was. She stayed for dinner almost every night. She helped my mom clean up the kitchen. She cheered on Ryan at his basketball games while I sat alone in the stands. She even started calling my dad Mr. J, like she was part of the family. And everyone loved her for it. But inside, I was falling apart. I barely ate. I barely slept. I walked around my own house like a ghost, watching Emily slip into the role I used to play, the daughter who helped in the kitchen, the sister who laughed at Ryan's dumb jokes, the friend my mom trusted with family stories. It was like she'd stolen my life. One night, I couldn't take it anymore. I pulled Emily aside while Ryan was upstairs showering. We were in the backyard, the summer air heavy with the smell of grilled chicken my dad was cooking. "Why are you doing this?" I whispered, my hands trembling. Emily tilted her head, her smile just a little too sweet. "Doing what?" "Don't play dumb. You're lying to my family. You told them I stole money. You keep saying things to make me look bad." "Why? What did I ever do to you?" For a moment, her face hardened. The Emily I knew, the Emily who laughed with me, who cried with me, who promised we'd always be there for each other, was gone. In her place was someone cold, calculating. "You really don't get it, do you?" she said quietly. "This family should have been mine." I froze. "What are you talking about?" She leaned closer, her voice sharp. "You don't appreciate what you have. The mom who cooks for you, the dad who cracks stupid jokes, the brother who everyone loves. You act like it's not enough. But me? I grew up with nothing. My mom barely looked at me. My dad walked out when I was little, and every time I came over here, I saw the family I wished I had. And now, I do." Her words hit me like a slap. "So you're, what? Replacing me?" She smirked. "If that's what it takes." My heart pounded in my ears. This wasn't jealousy. This wasn't a misunderstanding. Emily had wanted this for years. My family, my place, my life. And now she was taking it piece by piece. I stumbled back into the house, too shaken to respond. That night, I cried harder than I ever had before, clutching my pillow until the sun came up. But as much as her words destroyed me, they also lit something inside me. Fire. If Emily thought she could erase me, she was wrong. Over the next few weeks, I started paying closer attention, watching her, listening when she didn't think I was around. And slowly, the truth unraveled. Like the time she accidentally let it slip to Ryan that I had cheated on a math test in 8th grade, a total lie. Or when she whispered to my mom that I'd been sneaking out at night, even though I hadn't left my room. Each time, she dropped little seeds of doubt, and my family swallowed them whole. But then I caught her in the biggest lie yet. One Saturday morning, my dad was supposed to drive me to a volunteer shift at the animal shelter. When I came downstairs, he looked furious. "You're not going anywhere," he snapped. "Emily told us you've been skipping shifts for weeks. She said she covered for you last time." My mouth fell open. "What? That's not true." "I've been at every shift. Ask Mrs. Anderson. She runs the shelter." But my dad wouldn't listen. He just shook his head, muttering about how disappointed he was. I stormed out to the backyard, tears streaming down my face, and that's when I saw it, Emily, sitting on the swing, texting on her phone with a smug little smile. I marched over, yanking the phone out of her hands before she could react. "Hey!" she shouted, but it was too late. I'd already seen the message on her screen. It was to Ryan. "Don't worry. I told your parents about her skipping the shelter. They believe me. This is working." My chest went cold. This is working. I dropped the phone like it burned me, staring at her in horror. "You're trying to ruin me. You're actually trying to destroy me." Emily didn't even look guilty. She just stood, brushing off her jeans. "You were always so easy to manipulate. You tell me everything, and then you act surprised when I use it. That's on you." I staggered back, my hands trembling. "Why, Emily? Why would you do this to me? I loved you like a sister." Her eyes narrowed, and for the first time, I saw the truth without her mask. She hated me. "Because you don't deserve what you have," she spat. "You never did. And soon, they'll all see that too." I stood there, frozen, as she walked back into my house like she owned it. That was the moment I realized I was in a war I hadn't signed up for. And Emily wasn't just trying to win Ryan. She was trying to take everything, my family, my reputation, my entire life. And unless I found a way to fight back, she was going to. After I discovered Emily's text to Ryan, something in me shifted. I couldn't just sit back anymore while she played her game. I had to prove what she was doing, even if no one believed me at first. But how do you expose someone who's so good at pretending? Someone who has everyone fooled, who wears sweetness like armor and lies like second nature? For days, I tried to think of a plan. Every time I looked at my family, my mom humming while she cooked, my dad watching TV, Ryan scrolling on his phone with a grin whenever Emily texted him, I felt the weight of it pressing down on me. They thought she was perfect, and to them, I was the problem. But then, the opportunity came. Ryan's birthday. My parents planned a big backyard party, inviting family, neighbors, and half the basketball team. Of course, Emily was there, dressed in a perfect little sundress, carrying a cake she claimed she baked herself. She floated around the party like she owned it, laughing with my aunts, hugging my mom, holding Ryan's hand like she belonged in every photo. And I stood there in the corner, invisible, boiling. But I'd been preparing. The night before, I had gone through Emily's bag when she left it unattended in my room. And what I found nearly knocked the air out of me, a notebook. Inside were pages of notes about me, my family, even our fights. Little details she'd written down to use later. Things I told her in confidence. Things no one else knew. Next to some of them, she'd written comments like, use this on Ryan or tell mom to plant out. It was all there. Proof. So at the party, when everyone gathered around the table to sing happy birthday, my hands shook as I held that notebook behind my back. My heart pounded so loudly I could barely hear the singing. And when Ryan leaned over to blow out his candles, I knew it was now or never. I stepped forward, slamming the notebook down on the table so hard the plates rattled. Everyone went silent. What are you doing? Emily laughed nervously, her eyes wide. This, I said, my voice shaking, is who Emily really is. Gasps spread through the crowd. My mom frowned, picking up the notebook, flipping through the pages. Ryan looked confused, then angry. Emily lunged for it, but I grabbed it back. No. You don't get to hide this anymore. You've been lying to us. To all of us. Making me look like a thief, a liar, a disappointment, when it was you all along. Don't listen to her, Emily said quickly, her voice high and desperate. She's just jealous because Ryan chose me over her. But I didn't back down. I flipped open the notebook, reading aloud. Tell mom she skips the shelter. Tell dad she's lazy. Use Ryan against her. I looked up, tears streaming down my face. She wrote it all down. Every single thing she used to turn you against me. You thought she cared about this family? She doesn't. She's been using you, Ryan. She's been using all of you. The silence was deafening. My mom's face went pale as she grabbed the notebook, scanning the pages herself. My dad's jaw tightened, his hand clenching at his side. And Ryan just stood there, his mouth slightly open, his eyes darting between me and Emily like he couldn't process what he was seeing. Emily, my mom said slowly, her voice trembling, is this true? Emily's face twisted, her mask finally cracking. So what if it is? She snapped, her voice sharp and venomous. Do you know what it's like growing up in a house where nobody cares if you're alive? Where nobody notices you? This family is perfect, and I wanted it. And guess what? You let me in. You practically handed it to me. Gasps rippled through the guests. My dad stepped forward, his voice like thunder. Get out of my house. Emily's eyes widened. What? No, wait, now, he barked. She spun to Ryan, grabbing his arm. Ryan, please. You know I love you. But Ryan shook her off, his face red with anger. You don't love me. You just use me. Get out. Emily's expression hardened. She glared at me, her eyes blazing with hatred. You think you've won? You think they'll ever see you the same again? You're weak, and you always will be. And with that, she stormed out, slamming the gate behind her. The silence she left behind was heavier than anything I'd ever felt. My mom clutched the notebook to her chest, tears in her eyes. My dad put a hand on my shoulder, squeezing it tight. And Ryan just looked at me, his face filled with regret. "I'm sorry," he whispered. "I should have believed you." The anger in me melted into sobs as I collapsed into his arms. For the first time in months, I felt like my brother again saw me, not as Emily painted me, but as his sister. That night, after everyone left and the house was quiet again, my family sat together in the living room. No phones, no distractions, just us. My mom apologized for doubting me. My dad admitted he should have listened more closely. And Ryan promised he'd never let anyone come between us again. We weren't perfect, and the scars Emily left behind wouldn't disappear overnight. But for the first time in a long time, I felt like maybe we had a chance to heal. Later, lying in bed, I thought about Emily, about the girl I once trusted with everything. And I realized something important. Sometimes the people we let closest to us are the ones who can hurt us the most. But sometimes, too, it's those wounds that bring the truth to light. Emily wanted to destroy me. But in the end, all she did was show me how strong I could be. And as much as it hurt, I knew this chapter of my life was over. The girl who once called herself my best friend was gone. But I was still here. And that had to mean something.